Hi everyone, welcome to session 14. Mouth, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. A tabular explanation. Now we'll see, as we have seen here, the diagrammatic part of the absorption. So mouth is the part where the certain drugs are absorbed. Besides that, at the lower margin of the tongue, certain drugs are absorbed. When you take a medicine, immediately you sensitizes, you taste it. It is because of the lower margin of the tongue where the drugs are absorbed. Next, in the case of the stomach, the alcohol, next the some simple sugars, next aspirin, a drug, as well as the water absorption takes place in the case of the stomach. Small intestine is the part where the end products of amino acids, fatty acids, glycerol, monosaccharides. Then large intestine where water, some drugs, and certain vitamins and some vitamins and some minerals what absorbed. So by this, let me ask you a question. What are the parts of the gut where the drugs are absorbed? So answer you have to get is in mouth certain drugs, as well as in the stomach and the large intestine. And apart from that, the complete digestion in the small intestine. And diagrammatically, stomach is the part where water, alcohol, sugar, drugs and vitamins. And duodenum is the part where iron, calcium ions and amino acids. And in the jejunum, monosaccharides, fatty acids, glycerol, amino acids, vitamins and water. In ileum, vitamin B12, cyanocobalamin is a vitamin B12. Then bile salts and water, what takes place. Next, what is called this absorption of B12 vitamin is aided by causal intrinsic factor. We have discussed causal intrinsic factor, which is one of the cells in the gastric juice, causal intrinsic factor, which is one of a factor secreted from the cells called oxyntic cells or acidic cells. Besides that, the HCl is secreted. So HCl for its activity called the killing bacteria, conversion of the inactive into active, then the even certain times opening of the pyloric part, opening into the intestine is also done by HCl and providing acidity for protein digestion. So here cyanocobalamin absorption is aided by causal intrinsic factor. Next, bile salts and water. So absorption of vitamin B12 in the small intestine, for which the program is done in the stomach itself, that is to remember. Then colon is the large intestinal part where the drugs, water, minerals and the vitamin. Now let's see, vitamins is the part. Basically, vitamin is also a part of our balanced diet. In our large intestine, there survives Escherichia coli, E. coli, we name it as Escherichia coli, a bacterium. This bacterium synthesizes the vitamins. So, however we take the vitamins through our food, that is by food. Basically, the vitamins are fat soluble and water soluble. BC are water soluble. ADEK is the fat soluble. Intestinal bacteria synthesizes the vitamin K and vitamin B, which includes the various B1, B2, B6, B12, pantothenic acid, biotin, likewise various. It is a complex of vitamins. In this connection, the vitamin K and vitamin B, some of the vitamin B, that is pantothenic acid, pyridoxine, are what synthesized by intestinal bacteria. This is the reason why we don't have certain defects by natural. Blood clotting is what taking place. As there is a sufficient of inborn inbuilt vitamin K by Escherichia coli, friendly bacteria. In our the gut there are friendly bacteria, vitamin K, vitamin B complex, vitamin pyridoxine, pantothenic acid. What synthesized? Such vitamins are directly absorbed. This is how the friendly bacteria we have. So this is the entire summary of the absorption process. Absorption of the substances, the simpler diffusible substances into the first into the epithelium, then into the blood and the lymph. This is the absorption. Absorption is of involve the simple diffusion, facilitated diffusion, active transport and osmosis. The simple diffusion, glucose and amino acids and chloride ions by simple diffusion, which is to the concentration gradient. Then the facilitated diffusion, the absorption of the glucose and amino acids, which is aided by carrier proteins, is facilitated diffusion. Active transport, the transport of the food which is against the concentration gradient, which require the energy, that is glucose, amino acids and sodium. Whereas the absorption of the water by osmosis and the absorption at the different parts also we do discuss. Generally, the digested food is absorbed. Absorbed food is what assimilated. Assimilation is nothing but the process of the absorbed food reach the protoplasm, cytoplasm of the cells and become an integral part of it. Is that living organisms grow? Is that living organism require repair? Definitely. Then how it is done? The growth and repair is by the food that is stored in our the cytoplasm of cell. So that is assimilation. The digested food is absorbed, absorbed food is transported and reaches the cytoplasm of a cell and become an integral part of it is named to be the assimilation, and this assimilation is for the growth and the repair. Living organisms grow internally, the non-living organism grow by externally. So the growth and repair is because of the energy provided by our body by breakdown of oxidation of the food which is stored in the cell. That is the assimilation is the process by which we get the what is called it become a source of energy, the growth and repair. That is assimilation. So food is digested, absorbed and assimilated. What about the remaining? Defecation, egestion. Is all what we eat is digested and absorbed? Definitely some amount of the food is not what's it to be remain as an undigested. The undigested, unabsorbed food material needs to be sent out, which is nothing but the defecation. That is the undigested, unabsorbed food, which is what is called a fiber of plant material is named to be the roughage. which is not at all what absorbed. This needs to be expelled out, which is named to be the feces. So this process of expelling of the undigested food from our body through anus is named to be the defecation. So as we have seen, the food is absorbed. Absorption completely taking place in the small intestine. The unabsorbed food reach the large intestine. What is the role played by the large intestine? So digestion and absorption is completed in the small intestine. So large intestine has insignificant role in the digestion. It has no significant role in the digestion activity, which means there is no digestion in the large intestine, but it has its role in mucus production and absorption of the water, certain minerals and drugs and vitamins. So the mucus that is protect the gut from excoriation, and mucus water collects all the undigested material together, which is coherent substances. That's what we notice in our textbook. Coherent means coming together. The mucus that adds all the undigested together, which become a coherent material, and simultaneously water absorbed, so it become dried. Such dried material are expelled outside by mass of peristaltic movement. This mass of peristaltic movement means rigorous the movement, forced movement, which eliminates. So you may raise a doubt that the peristaltic movement are slow in the intestine and least in the rectum. So till up to the rectum it takes place, and it is least only for expelling out. So the roughace, the undigested unabsorbed food or fiber of the plant material is a roughace. Once it reaches the large intestine, by mucus it is made together, form a coherent substance. Then the mucus is secreted, which forms together, and absorption of water make it the dried pellets which are water sent out through the anus. This expelling of the undigested unabsorbed food to the outside is named to be the what is called the defecation. Basically this defecation is a voluntary process. Now the question, how the peristaltic movement is done by what is called the muscles. We discussed that once the food in the rectum, which is there, it give a necessary signal to the nervous system, and the signal from the nervous system reach the anus. Anus is with the internal anal sphincter, which is smooth muscles, involuntary, and external anal sphincter, which is the voluntary. So the signal from the rectum to the nervous system give the signal back to the anus, and it propels the nitrogenous waste, the undigested food to the outside. This expelling of the undigested food to the outside is what named to be the defecation. That's what all about the absorption and the defecation. Then the gastrointestinal tract hormones, the hormones from the gastrointestinal tract or the gut. Generally, we have discussed that the neural activity and hormonal activity will also influence the digestion process or gastric activity. So far we have discussed how the neural activity, that is intrinsic neural system and extrinsic neural system, we have discussed. The intrinsic neural system by means of Verbox plexus and the Messener's plexus, and also the extrinsic activity by sympathetic and parasympathetic. Basically, the peristaltic movements are gastric movements decreased by sympathetic nervous system, whereas increased by parasympathetic nervous system. Now the role of the hormones. Hormones in the sense of the secretions of the endocrine gland. The endocrine glands associated with the gut. Generally, the gut is secreting, which is acting as a endocrine part and releasing the hormones. The list of the hormones from the gastrointestinal tract and associated part, that is gastrin, enterogastrone or GIP, gastric inhibitory peptide. Next, secretin. Next, cholecystokinin, CCK, cholecystokinin, pancreozymin, enterocrinin, diocrinin, vilicrinin, vasoactive intestinal peptide VIP, somatostatin, pancreatic polypeptide. So the hormones of the gastrointestinal tract or of what is called the gastrin, enterogastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, enterocrinin, diocrinin, vilicrinin, and vasoactive intestinal peptide. These two are, however, we see somatostatin from the hormones released from the pancreas. That is, we have seen alpha, beta and delta. From delta cells it is secreted. Since it is associated with this, we see. And somatostatin is also secreted from the gastric epithelium as well as intestinal epithelium. So it is what? And the pancreatic polypeptide. So now we'll discuss the entire the hormones released from the gastrointestinal tract or gut and how they influence. So the hormones, origin of the hormone, next it's a target organ and its function. In that way we discuss. First of all, the gastrin. Gastrin is secreted from, gastrin is a hormone secreted from the gastric mucosa or else the epithelium of the stomach, particularly from pyloric part of the stomach. The gastrin is secreted from G cells. Recall your memory. We discussed that the stomach is with the chief cells, oxantic cells, goblet cells secreting the mucus, and endocrine cells. Endocrine cells, recall your memory. That is the G cells. From the pyloric part of the stomach, the G cells secrete gastrin. Gastrin is the hormone secreted from the stomach. And target organ, stomach itself. Why? This G cell secreting gastrin hormone stimulate the gastric gland to secrete the gastric juice, that is HCl, and the causal intrinsic factor. So the gastrin from gastric stomach epithelium, target organ stomach, function is HCl, gastric juice, that is including the HCl and pepsin, renin and causal intrinsic factor. Mainly this is the function of the gastrin is to secrete the gastric juice and the gastric mobility. Hormone, origin, target, function. Gastrin, stomach, target organ stomach, and the function is to secrete the gastric juice and the gastric mobility, right? Next, enterogastrone. Enterogastrone is also named to be the gastric inhibitory peptide hormone. Generally, the acidic condition is to be neutralized in the intestine. Why? Alkaline condition is essential for the complete digestion of the food. So, from the epithelium of the intestine, duodenal epithelium secretes the enterogastrone, which inhibits the gastric juice secretion. So, enterogastrone, GIP, duodenum. Next, it is the action on the inhibition of the gastric juice. So, it neutralizes the acidic juice, and it is how its a target is on the stomach itself. That is, it inhibits the gastric juice. That's what it is, gastric inhibitory peptide. Next, the secretin. So these can be discussed as gastrin and enterogastrone. The point to remember, gastrin and enterogastrone are GAPR antagonistic against, like the list earlier we have seen. Insulin and glucagon are antagonistic. Insulin decreases the glucose level, glucagon increases the glucose level. Antagonistic or not? In the same way, gastrin what stimulates the secretion of the gastric juice. Enterogastrone inhibits the secretion of gastric juice. This is what are the antagonistic hormone. We have a list of the antagonistic hormone. Next, secretin. Secretin is a hormone to be discovered first. First hormone to be discovered is by scientists is secretin itself. Secretin from duodenum, and secretin is what stimulate the secretion of the release of the bicarbonates from pancreatic juice. It is the one secretin responsible for secretion of release of the bicarbonate of the pancreatic juice. So the target is of a pancreas. Next, the cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. Cholo in the sense bile. Cysto, as we have discussed earlier. Every biological term has its meaning. Gastrin, stomach. Chol, bile. Cysto means the gallbladder or bladder. Cyst is a bladder, and the kinin release or it is removed. So cholecystokinin is a hormone from the small intestine. Is what stimulate the bile juice. It increases the bile juice secretion. How? Cholecystokinin functional role is it constricts the bladder system. We have discussed. It constricts the gallbladder to release the bile juice. And at the same time, it is also said to be pancreas. That is, it influences the pancreas to secrete the pancreatic juice. So, cholecystokinin is the hormone responsible for constriction of the gallbladder. So, the case with the bile which is synthesized in the liver hepatocytes, released into the bile canaliculi, then the ductules, then into the right and left hepatic duct combined together forming the common bile duct into the joining with the cystic duct, what form common bile duct. For the storage, it reaches into the gallbladder and it is stored. So the bile that is stored in the gallbladder by constriction of the gallbladder by cholecystokinin action, the bile juice from gallbladder cystic duct, common bile duct, where the opening it's into the pancreatic duct where sphincter of Boyden is there. Then from there into the pancreatic duct, what forms the hepatopancreatic duct. Hepatopancreatic duct opening into the duodenum, which is guarded by sphincter of Oddi. So constriction of gallbladder, at the same time relaxation of the sphincter of Oddi is the function of cholecystokinin. So bile juice is released. And at the same time, it influences the pancreas to secrete the pancreatic juice. That's what it is, a CCK, cholecystokinin and pancreozymin. Next, enterocrinin. Enterocrinin is what we say is from the small intestine, and it stimulates the crypts of Leberkuhn to secrete the intestinal juice. Crypts of Leberkuhn refers to nothing but the intestinal glands. So enterocrinin stimulate the what is called the crypts of Leberkuhn to secrete the intestinal juice, and it is being released into the intestine. That is the function of the enterocrinin. Then duocrinin. Duocrinin is from the duodenum. So, is that the duodenum, does it have any glands to see? Definitely. Duodenal glands are Brunner glands which secretes the mucus. So, duocrinin is a hormone stimulate the duodenal gland to secretes the, or Brunner glands to secretes the mucus which is added to the intestinal juice. So the combination of the crypts of Leberkuhn secretion and the Brunner gland secretion, we say the intestinal juice. So the duocrinin stimulates the duodenal gland to secrete the mucus into the adding to the intestinal juice. Then villicrinin, every term has its meaning. Duodenum, enteron, the nothing but here the intestinal juice. Now villicrinin. Villicrinin is a hormone responsible for the movement of villi. Movement of villi. And villicrinin is a hormone for movement of the villi. So it is for further absorption. Vasoactive intestinal peptide. Vasoactive intestinal peptide is what? Vaso, blood vessel, the dilation of the blood, peripheral blood vessels. Dilation of the peripheral blood vessel is done by means of vasoactive intestinal peptide, VIP. Next, somatostatin. Earlier I told you, somatostatin have the sources from three. One, from hypothalamus. Two, from the stomach and the intestine. Next, from pancreas. So the case with the somatostatin from hypothalamus. So that's not the related topic to here. Why? That is, however, we see the somatostatin which inhibit the growth hormone secretion. The remaining sources we say it is somatostatin released from gastric and intestine. that is the argentifin cells of the gastric stomach region as well as the argentifin cells of the intestine releases the somatostatin, which inhibits the release of the hormones. So here sometimes we say encouraging and inhibition. This is how the balance is taking place. Pancreatic polypeptide, the F cells of the pancreas, what secretes the pancreatic polypeptide hormone, which inhibits the pancreatic juice secretion. So this is how a balance takes place. So the list of the gastrointestinal tract hormone we see is a gastrin, enterogastrin, secretin, and cholecystokinin, enterocrinin, duocrinin, velicrinin, vasoactive intestinal peptide hormone, somatostatin, pancreatic polypeptide. This stimulates the gastric mobility and the gastric juice. This inhibits the gastric juice and the gastric mobility. That's what these two are antagonistic. Next, secretin, the first hormone to be discovered by scientists is secretin. This secretin is for the release of the bicarbonates from the pancreatic juice. Next, cholecystokinin, it is for the bile juice release as well as pancreatic juice release. Chol is the bile, cysto is a sac, bladder and kinin release. And since it is influencing the pancreas, so pancreas, enterocrinin is what stimulate it is for the crypts of liver cone stimulation to release the intestinal juice. Then duocrinin from the duodenum, and it releases, it stimulates the Brunner's gland, duodenum, which contain the Brunner gland, which release the mucus into the intestinal juice. Velicrinin, the movement of the villi. Villi are nothing but the intestine which have the finger-like projections. Velicrinin in the small intestine. So its origin is small intestine and the target is also the small intestine villi. Velicrinin, movement of the villi, thereby absorption. Next, the vasoactive intestinal peptide. It is for the dilation of the peripheral blood vessels, so absorption becomes the faster. When its area increases. Dilation means increasing area of the peripheral blood vessels, so easily diffusion. Somatostatin from the case with the hypothalamus and also from the stomach region, that is in the stomach wall, the somatostatin is released from the argentifin cells. In the intestinal region is also from argentifin cells it is released, which inhibits the hormonal secretion. Then pancreas, in the case of the pancreas also, from the delta cells it is secreted. From the F cells of the pancreas, the pancreatic polypeptide hormone is secreted. That's what the list of the hormones from the gastrointestinal tract. So this is how we see the absorption and the gastrointestinal tract hormones as a topic.